Hello learners, welcome to the discussion on language in National Curriculum Framework 2005. Learners, National Curriculum Framework 2005 as the name goes and the year goes was brought out in the year 2005 after a lot of discussions, debates, deliberations across the country. It was a curriculum after 5 years in the year 2000 National Council of Educational Research and Training NCERT brought out a curriculum. Then 2005 it was revised and changed. So, let us have a discussion on how National Curriculum Framework, which is still in implementation, deals with advocates language education, language pedagogy in school and in teacher education. Learners, I am Meganathan from the Department of Education in Languages NCERT, New Delhi. Being a prospective teacher, I am going to be a teacher, let us say, all of you are. We need to understand how curriculum planning happens in this country, as well as in general, what is curriculum planning and why curriculum is revised periodically and curriculum is renewed, and what changes take place situating to the time and the context in which it happens. We are in the year 2021. We have before us the National Education Policy, based on which National Curriculum Framework will be developed, revised, syllabi and textbooks materials will be developed. So, curriculum framework in countries like India, federal democracy, we develop curriculum framework which is adapted with modifications by the state, regional governments and school systems like CBSE, ICSE, others. So, it is a framework, not a curriculum, it is a curriculum framework. Then what does National Curriculum Framework, henceforth I will call it NCF 2005, talks about language education. Before we delve into discuss how language education is envisaged in NCF 2005, let us see the guiding principles of National Curriculum Framework 2005, NCF 2005. Look at it, after a lot of deliberations, discussions with the 21 national focus groups under 3 broader categories: systemic issues, content areas, curricular areas and national concerns. Under 3 categories, NCERT formulated 21 national focus groups, and later that emerged into National Steering Committee headed by Professor Yashpal, eminent educationist. Even the position papers were full of educationist teachers, people from rural schools, and these 5 guiding principles emerged. One, first of all, connecting knowledge to life outside the school. So, how can an educational exercise, school, can connect the knowledge which exists outside the school? Then ensuring that learning is shifted away from rote learning, lot of rote learning, burden on children. Then enriching school curriculum to provide for overall development rather than textbook centric teaching. You know that most teaching most of the time results in whatever is in the textbook is taught and tested, and of course breaking or liberating the hard examinations. So, there should be flexible examinations. Then look at the 5th one. It is for the democratic country, nurturing and overriding identity informed by carrying concerns within a democratic polity. See, education, school education has to develop people into a democratic citizens. I should be able to live in a democratic country. That means I should be able to know my duties, my rights and duties to the nation, country, people, government institutions and my own brethren, my own neighbors, friends and my own family. So, this is what NCERT 2005 took up with as guiding principles. So, let's take a look at what the language education says. What does the NCERT 2005 talk about language education? Language teaching needs to be multilingual, not only in terms of number of languages offered to children, but also in terms of evolving strategies that would use multilingual classroom as a resource. Very interesting. There are two aspects talked about here, participants. Multilingual education, language teaching should be envisaged as multilingual education. Not only the number of languages taught, under 3-language formula, or the school system is even ready to offer more than 3 languages, mother tongue, the state language, Hindi or English, many languages. That is one aspect of language learning. Another is language teaching and learning of languages as strategies to use as a resource for learning languages as well as other subjects. That means language across curriculum perspective, as well as language as an instrument to learn language itself and other subjects. Then look at it, home languages of children should be the medium of learning. So, we have been arguing that mother tongue based multilingualism and mother tongue has to be the medium of instruction. So, here NCERT calls for home languages. In very few cases, home language may be different from the mother tongue. And so, home language is equivalent to first language. So, home language should be the medium. Then children will receive multilingual education from the outset. 3-language formula needs to be implemented in its spirit, promoting multilingual communicative abilities for a multilingual country. Why should I learn many languages in a country? This country is multilingual. How is it multilingual? Go to any Indian classroom or any Indian street, you will be finding more than 2 languages, 1 language at least, more than 1 language, and it will be difficult for us to find in a street or in a classroom with all learners knowing only 1 language. It is impossible in this country, but it is possible in European countries and some part of USA and some parts of Soviet Union. I mean, erstwhile Soviet Union, today is Russia. But in Africa and countries like ours, you will not be able to find 1 language only in the classroom. So, the 3-language formula, learning 3 languages, but multilingual communicative ability. I love to communicate with another language speaker in English, in Hindi, Tamil, many languages. And NCERT 2005 also advocated study of classical and foreign languages may be introduced at later stages. It means at the higher secondary level. NCERT 2005 further exemplifies, clarifies how multilingual education could be realized. Multilingual perspective addresses the concern of language and culture and the pedagogical principles of moving from known to unknown. So, how do we learn? We learn unfamiliar things from familiar things. So, I will learn my mother tongue or through my mother tongue very well the other languages as well as foreign ideas. So, let's go back to the guiding principles in which it says, look at it, connecting knowledge to life outside the classroom. This is how language education moves on to achieve in NCERT 2005. So, multilingual perspective addresses the concern of language, culture and pedagogical principles of moving from known to unknown. And we are all learning English. English has become almost like common second language across the country. In some cases, it's becoming a first language kind of thing, but of course, it's a second or third language. But what is the purpose of learning English language? Of course, we need to have English language because most higher education and jobs are abroad are available in English. So, but NCERT looks at it in a different manner, that is essential. The aim of English teaching is the creation of multilinguals who can enrich all our languages. This has been an abiding vision. Means Why should I learn English? In order to become multilingual, in order to support my languages, other languages, Indian languages, English become. It's not that English is going to take away the place of Indian languages, it is going to support the learning, teaching of Indian languages. We will see this aspect further, the role of English later. Now, what does a language curriculum look like in NCERT 2005? Here are the goals of language curriculum. A cohesive language policy based on guiding principles of language teaching, acquisition, which allows a variety of implementations suitable to local needs and resources, and which provides illustrative models for use. Look at it, there are many things in this statement. One is a cohesive language policy, curricular policy, means it has to be connecting every aspect of life, every aspect of education, every language itself. Language learning or language acquisition which allows variety of, see, there cannot be flat one way of implementing all at all levels the education policy and curriculum itself. So, a particular region may like to introduce the language later, particular region may like to emphasize on the literature of the area more than the other. So, variety of implementations suitable, means the strategy may differ, and it depends on the needs of the people to learn the language and curriculum and the resources available. Suppose there are no material textbooks, so we need to develop them, and they have to be illustrative models for use, meaning a particular context, let us say that in Mizoram, language curriculum is introduced. Mizo is there, English language is there, Hindi language is there, and some more languages are there, many tribal minor languages are there. How this can be implemented suiting to the local needs. Textbooks have to be developed, teachers have to be developed. So, many such things. So, it is a cohesive, but it has to take everybody, all included. That is what cohesive policy. So, now let us go back to again English language. NCERT made a very vibrant statement, very emphatic statement. English does not stand alone. That is what we are worried about now. English is taking over other Indian languages in school and higher education. So, let us reduce that. How can English, what role English can play along with other Indian languages? So, it has to be one among the Indian languages. In regional medium schools, how can children's other languages strengthen English teaching learning? How will English teaching learning benefit from the teaching learning of other languages? That is what mother tongue to other tongue. Then in English medium schools, how can other Indian languages be valorized, reducing the perceived hegemony of English? Meaning, in English medium schools, you must have seen and you must have yourself undergone this experience. English is given all importance and other languages get the back seat. No. So, how Indian languages also get the prominence as English is given. So, the hegemony of the dominance of English has to be reduced in schooling, the life in schooling and teaching learning processes, and so that Indian languages feel at ease and get their due recognition. And in relation to other subjects, how? Language across the curriculum perspective. So, maybe in some school systems like Navodaya Vidyalaya Samidhi, Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan schools, mathematics and science are taught in English, social science taught in Hindi. So, how, what is the rationale behind it? Because children feel that the school systems have decided because this higher education in science and mathematics is mostly available in English, and children will find it difficult, so let us teach them. But at the same time, social science can be learned, most of the theory and events, so it can be learnt in their mother tongue, in Hindi. And this is even questioned very well, rightly so, but this is one. And English is learnt in other subjects other subjects are learnt in English. How can we reduce that? How can we benefit from that? Meaning, when the science teacher teaches, when geography teacher teaches, mathematics teacher teaches, when he or she teaches through English or in any language, children also learn language through the subjects. This is what called, and language plays a role, centrality of language in learning the mathematics subject, science subject. So, this is called language across the curriculum. So, NCERT 2005 calls for language across the curriculum perspective. So, what kind of pedagogy NCERT is attempting to promote? Engaging pedagogies with language rich environment. When I learn language, the language has to be seen in my ambience, creating language rich environment. Through books, in primary school, we can create a lot of language written on the walls, doors, so the children notice language. So, we call it language rich environment. Books and teachers speaks the language. Children are made to understand and do group work, pair work, those kinds of things. So, this is one major thing NCERT 2005 advocates. Then translanguaging as pedagogy, using the languages available in the classroom for teaching learning of languages as well as content subjects. It is very, very interesting. How can a teacher use all the languages of children? Teacher need not know all the languages of children. It is not possible for one teacher to know 5-6 languages. If possible, he can learn later or in due course, but not necessarily. It is not his job to learn languages, it is to teach. So, but he can make use of the languages available in the classroom. Suppose he explains something, he tells something, one child speaks in the languages common to all, another child may say it in his or her language, which few children know, or there may be only one child, he may be given due time to speak in his language. So, that boosts up the energy, self-confidence of children. That is what translanguaging. Let me give an illustration. In translanguaging, what happens is, when children, one story is narrated by the teacher or one child in one language and the common language, and other children try to translate it, say it in their languages, and they may, and this is one, and one part of the story may be said in English, and another part may be said in Hindi, and third part may be said by some other language. If it is in Tamil Nadu, in Tamil, or in Punjab it is Punjabi, West Bengal it is Bangla, kind of thing. So, translanguaging as pedagogy, this is what NCERT 2005 advocates. Then what many strategies NCERT advocates, recommends, one of them is storytelling, not story teaching. We may recall when we were children, our teacher used to tell stories and make it kind of teaching and tell that moral of the story. Now, we are saying that tell the story as language input. Let children get involved, embedded into the imagination of this imagination and the events in the story and the language, and doing nothing, just telling the story and maybe 1 or 2 activities. And project work, 4 or 5 children come together, create a poster for the village, go and interview people, write and report it, those kind of strategies. Learner work in and work with language. Learners work in language and work with language. See, language learning takes place, the time spent in the language is ample time is given to children to read, write and interact, speak. That's what we call it. Learners work in and work with language. It leads to collaborative learning. NCERT also advocates critical pedagogy on issues which are relevant to their age and time and politically, socially irrelevant. And these are the times that we need to make our children to think critically and to come to an informed understanding on matters, issues, whether science, politics, literature, what else, and social life. So, this is called critical pedagogy. So, given to situation, let children analyze pros and cons of it, rights and wrongs of it, come to their own understanding and conclude. For example, nuclear energy, many such things, even the COVID pandemic, many such things. So, they can take with data, empirical evidence, analysis, coming to an informed understanding. Look at it. So, we have seen pedagogy. Let us look at it. Who is the learner in NCF 2005? Language learner. NCF 2005 recognized learner as constructor of knowledge. What is the constructor of knowledge? Teacher teaches, learner learns, and learner makes out his own ways and means with his previous experience, societal experience, language. So, he learns, he is the learner of language, means creator of his own language, creator of his own knowledge. It does not mean that he is learning, creating everything new like scientist or social scientist, maybe, but at the same time when he understands an idea, he feels that he is creating on his own, that the involvement. We said no, work with and work in language. Then learner's identity is recognized as autonomous learner, learner with good self-esteem and diversified, multilingual, multicultural learners. This is very important for a language teacher to understand. And language is also an instrument for attitudinal development. How attitudinal development happens? And you read stories, you read literature, you see the etiquettes, the language use in context, then you develop, and that is why it is generally said people who know many more languages are better, they understand society much better, and they live much more harmoniously than monolingual speakers. There are some evidences also. So, attitudinal development and developing a critical perspective. Learners, we have discussed this in critical pedagogy. So, and a situation, an idea is given to us. How can I move to understand and come to a kind of, again I am saying, an informed conclusion, be it political, social, scientific and science related, or language, literature, anything. So, let's have a debate in the classroom. Nuclear energy is good or bad, whether voting age to be lowered to 16 years, now it is 18 years, or to enhance to 21 years, or should learners be allowed to have an internet account, email account before the age of 16 or 18. And I think in United States of America, email account is not permitted before the age of 18. We can have a discussion, and how far social media is good. So, let children develop a critical perspective through language learning, through reading of text and so on. Look at it. Then look at the resources available. What kind of resources? Input-rich communicational environments are prerequisite for language learning, meaning children will be able to learn language when they are given some input in terms of texts and narratives, teacher's language and learner's interaction. That is what NCF believes. Then meaningful language exposure through inputs, otherwise it leads to burden of comprehension when language is taught as a subject, and many contexts language is taught as not as a language, as a subject. Then what kind of texts and narratives NCF calls for? Contemporary text, narratives in terms of themes and language. See, learners are learning in 2020-21. They should know the contemporary Hindi, contemporary English first, then move on to understand whatever they want to understand. So, give the themes which are relevant today. Authentic materials. What are authentic materials? So, authentic materials are those written by someone who never thought that it would be part of textbook. So, newspaper articles, stories, naturally written text are brought into textbooks. Songs, rhymes, translations from Indian languages. Then there is an attempt to learner created texts, learn from learners' lives. So, children's literature, learners themselves create some text that is brought into textbook. But at the same time, learners should be exposed to all kind of text, forms of text like that, prose, poetry, newspaper article, travelogue, poetry, play. So, infographics, all those texts should be brought into textbook and in the classroom. Then what is at the end of the day language learning is through these texts. They are negotiating the language, the text for meaning rather than just learning the information. So, texts are instruments to make children to make meaning, critically understand the perspectives. And at the end of the day, they understand not only themselves and learn language, but also the world. This is what language education is actually aiming at. So, how can a teacher be supported? Through other means, the principal, the school system and the state itself complementing, supplementing teacher inputs. Interactive radio project, created audio programs. There are many states including NCERT and universities like Indira Gandhi National Open University. They create a lot of audio video for teachers and learners, particularly teachers and of course learners. Story reading as opposed to story teaching. I said just reading the story to learners. Regular story reading triggers the acquisition process in children. If children are told stories and later they read stories, language learning is enhanced and it's supported. Then shared reading means 4 or 5 children sit together, our whole class, a big book it's read, and through reading cards. We have developed a lot of reading cards and talking books, audio books. NCERT has converted all its textbooks, science, mathematics, every textbook into audio book, talking book that are being used by teachers and learners. So, this is how a teacher can be supported. What kind of language assessment is required? NCF 2005 envisages continuous assessment. That means it's not assessment is not one time assessment. It has to be continuous and it has to be school based. And instruments like portfolio assessment, learners are part of assessment process, not simply they are assessees. They are not simply the people who are evaluated, they also be using like peer reviews and their own assignment they read and they mark it and later teacher looks at it. So, they become part of assessment process itself, not simply being assessed, getting assessed. Project work and other activities as activities for assessment. So, 5 children come together, they do a project and it is being evaluated and grades are awarded according to the contribution. And it should be NCF 2005 envisages it should be regular school based assessment, not simply one time paper pencil assessment. Learners, there are lots of things NCF 2005 talks about, advocates, recommends. But it's up to the school systems and states and teachers to implement it. How will we do it? Is the $1 million question. It was getting implemented in 2005. Now we are in 2020. Let me tell you, as a member of faculty from National Council of Education Research and Training in CRT, almost all the states have revised their curriculum and new textbooks have been developed. Lot of activities, interactive activities have been brought into. Assessment processes have changed and storytelling like activities have gained ground, accepted as pedagogy, and project work has become a commonplace thing, a regular thing in school now. Continuous assessment is in practice. This is what NCF 2005 actually envisaged in the year 2005 or 6. Then the first one generation of textbooks, then later slight revisions, and almost all the states have now revised the textbook. Teachers have been trained, and systems like Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti have made teacher training as a regular, every year practice, in two cycles. NCERT also has launched a lot of online, offline training programs, and NCERT has done a kind of nationwide NISTA program, National Initiative of Teacher Education, Teacher in Service Professional Development, in which 30 lakh teachers NCERT itself trained, and later those master trainers, resource persons trained their state. Almost every teacher has been now trained. So, this is how a national curriculum framework envisaged, and language education found its major place in the national curriculum framework. Let me give you learners, before I thank you, 2 or 3 tasks. First of all, you may visit NCERT website or any Government of India website. You will find National Curriculum Framework 2005. Take a look at it fully, if not language portion. And 2 more documents are available along with National Curriculum Framework. One is Teaching of Indian Languages position paper. Another is Teaching of English. Please take a look at them. Lot more discussed about language policy, language education, language pedagogy, language assessment, language teacher education, many more. And it will be of a great learning for you, and write a commentary on at least one of them as your task, which I would like to suggest. Learners, I hope that you will have been able to understand what NCF 2005, National Curriculum Framework 2005 was envisaging in language education. Hope that you would be able to read it again if you have read it, or if you have not read it, please visit NCERT website and read it and reflect. Let me thank you for having been part of this discussion. We will meet in some other theme later. Till then, take care.